Today I'm going to teach you guys how to knit a lateral braid in your work, and I'm specifically going to show you how to knit this in the round. The lateral braid is a great detail to add to your work if you want to, add something interesting to a sweater or scarf or even a hat. I've seen a lot of people use this after ribbing for a cuff, or ribbing after mittens, things like that. It's a great detail. It's something really unique and interesting. It's not that difficult to do, but I'm also going to show you how to join in the round. Is it perfect? No, but it helps reduce a jog, and it's pretty straightforward and not too complicated. I'm going to show you guys how I used this lateral braid in this is a skirt, if you can believe it. This is a long skirt that gets wider as you go. This is knit in Lion Brand Kobu, but I added 2 rows of lateral braids before I did increases. And it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful detail here. I did it twice. So there you go. I'll show you how to knit this and make this yourself. Okay. So I'm using Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick yarn on 10mm needles, and I do hope to have an explanation on how to knit this gorgeous skirt. I added some elastic in here. I will have details on how to do this. I'll add that video once I have that finished. Okay, so let's start knitting our lateral braid in the round. So I'm going to finish my last stitch in my previous round, slip my stitch marker, and now I'm going to start. And we're going to start by skipping this first stitch and knitting through the back loop in the second stitch. So you insert your needle through the back loop in that second stitch. You'll knit through the back loop, pull the yarn through, and then you're going to keep this yarn on the needle. Second step is to knit into this first stitch, pull the loop through. Now you're going to remove these 2 stitches on the left hand needle. So we're just going to slide those off. And the last step is to slip this last stitch on the right hand needle back over to the left hand needle. So those are the steps. Those are really the 4 steps we will be repeating. So step 1, insert the needle through the back loop of the second stitch on the left hand needle, knit through this, keep the yarn on. I'm going to get rid of that loop. Keep the yarn on this left hand needle. Step 2, knit through the first stitch. Step 3, slip these 2 stitches off the needle. Step 4, slip that first stitch back over to the left hand needle. So we'll keep repeating that. Knit through the back loop of the second stitch on the left hand needle. Pull the loop through, keep it on the right hand needle, knit through the first stitch, and then slip those 2 stitches off the left hand needle. Final step, slip that first stitch on the right hand needle back over to the left hand needle. So you can see our lateral braid is starting to form. I'll do this a few more times for you. Knit through the back loop of the second stitch, pull the stitch through, keep it on the right hand needle, knit through the first stitch on the left hand needle, slip those 2 stitches off, then slip the first stitch on the right hand needle over to the left hand needle. Knit through the back loop of the second stitch, pull the stitch through, keep it on the right hand needle, knit through the first stitch on the left hand needle, then slip those 2 stitches off, slip the last stitch on the right hand needle over to the left hand needle. And you will start to get better at this, and it'll get smoother as you go. One thing I wanted to note that can be tricky is if you put the work down, you're tempted to probably put the work down if you've got like a big piece of a big sweater or something you're working on. Make sure, we can have a tendency to start the work back up when we haven't slipped this last stitch over. So make sure if you put the work down and you're ready to get started again, your work looks like this, where you have that slip stitch back on your left hand needle so that the braid is kind of continuing this way. A lot of times I've done this so much where I start it like this, where I haven't slipped that stitch, and then you're gonna have a hole in the braid. So make sure you have that slipped stitch on your left hand needle if you start the work again. And then you just do the same thing. Knit through the back loops of the second stitch, knit through the first stitch, slide the work over. All right, so I am going to continue this all the way around, and then I will show you how to join the work in the round like I did over here. All right, I'm nearing the end. I'm just going to show you my last few stitches here as I approach my beginning of round marker. And you're going to want to continue until you have 2 stitches left on your left hand needle, making sure you end after that step 4, which is when you slip that last stitch over. So I'm going to complete the lateral braid one more time where I knit. When I have 2 stitches left, I'm going to knit into the back loop of that second stitch on my left hand needle, keep the stitch on my right hand needle, knit through the first stitch of the left hand needle, then slip both stitches off. Okay, so now I have no more stitches left in the round. I kind of have what looks like this hole. And here's what we're going to do now. You see, this is the very first like lateral braid stitch in this round here, okay? This is the very first lateral braid. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our right hand needle and stick our needle through both legs of that lateral braid, all right? Both legs. So I'll do that again. Here's the lateral braid. We're going to stick our needle through both legs of that first lateral braid. Then I'm gonna put my right hand needle through the back and try to pull up a stitch through this lateral braid. This can be hard to do. You can do this with a crochet hook. I'm literally just going to pull these stitches through like that, okay? So now I've got this, I'm picking up a stitch, so I'm gonna have an extra stitch now. I've picked up this extra stitch through both legs of this lateral braid. It's now sitting on my right hand needle. So all I'm gonna do now is take that last stitch from that right hand needle previously and just slip this over and drop the stitch to bind it off. I've dropped my stitch marker, but you don't need to drop your stitch marker. Okay, and now you're ready to continue working. So you have picked up a stitch through this, through both legs of the first stitch of that lateral braid. You've placed it on the right hand needle and just bound off a stitch. So I think that's the simplest way, and now you can just continue knitting in the round. One thing to note, sometimes that first round after the lateral braid can be a little loose, so you'll figure out how to get it to the tension you want, but just a heads up that that first round can be a little loose after the lateral braid. So there you have it. There's the lateral braid in the round. I hope you enjoyed this. Please check out my channel for other great knitting tutorials. I have a ton of patterns with step-by-step video tutorials, so be sure to check those out. I hope you guys add the lateral braid to one of your designs, or if you're following a pattern and not quite sure how to complete the braid, hopefully this helped you out. I'll see you guys in the next video.